What's up, guys? I'm sure most of you already saw the article on the Yu-Gi-Oh organization about this particular loop. It's about, yeah, again, it's with the zombies, with blue-blooded Oni, and combination with the Exceeds, both a Valval Chain, Daigusto Emerald, eventually also F-Zero, Direwolf, and so on. So before I start, of course, I did not invent this loop. All credit, of course, goes to the original guy who invented this loop. So again, feel free to check out the link in the video description if you want to look up and yeah, to read the article of every step, since it's pretty much a loop in 90 simple steps. So before I start, a few things about the consistency about the loop. It's of course not super consistent. In the past of Yu-Gi-Oh we already had much more consistent loops, so this is definitely not the most consistent FTK we ever had. And of course we already know that there are a lot of outs to this loop, failure for something, or for example breakthrough skill, and so on. I mean, we do have a lot of outs to stop this loop, this kind of deck in its tracks. The second thing, of course, is that I do not support these kind of decks, FTKs, loops, slash, and so on. It's just, yeah, the point of me making this video is to just yeah, showcase the deck, showcase the loop, how it is done, make the people aware that this kind of loop exists in the game. So let's see the deck list. What is the loop about? I mean, the essence of the loop does two things. The first thing is that you can clear your opponent's hand first turn. So let's say you start a duel, you open a duel, you can, one part of the loop, of the whole loop, is that you can discard your opponent's hand. So they open with 5 cards, you can discard them all, yeah, all 5 cards thanks to Ouroboros and looping Ouroboros every time. The second part of the loop is that you eventually draw into your entire deck. You have a hand with like 20 cards or more or less. But again, yeah, thanks to Daigusto Emerald, again, thanks to looping Daigusto, Valval Chain, Diamond, Direwolf, and your F-Zero, you eventually end up with a full hand. And then eventually you can synchro summon for your Tempest Magician. And we know what Tempest Magician does. For every card you discard, your Tempest Magician will get a token, a counter, and then you can detach, send all those counters to the grave, and for every counter your opponent will get 500 burn damage. So again, that's pretty much the point of this huge loop. So again, this is yeah, pretty time consuming. It took me over an hour to get this game played out. It's definitely not fun to play against as the opponent, but it's just fun to showcase it. I mean, again, make everybody aware that this deck exists. So yeah, let's hop into the game. I'll explain every step. Alright, so I start off. So what's the first part of the loop? The first thing you want to do is set up your blue-blooded Onis. You're playing 3 in the main deck, so you have to get them into the grave and on the field. Thanks to Black Garden and so on, you can reborn your Summoner Monk, eventually go for La Valval Chain. So it's again, the loop is heavily based on La Valval Chain, on Daigusto Emerald, both cards already very familiar in FTK decks. So thanks to them, and thanks to also, yeah, your F-Zero Future, hope you can again reborn one of your Onis, set up your Onis into the grave. So now I think I have 3 indeed. The second part of the loop is you want to focus on to yeah, getting the same board. The inventor is calling it the field. Yeah, it's again the basic field you want to have after you finish your loop, and this is the field. You want to have 2 blooded Onis, 1 already used, 1 not used yet, and 1 F-Zero with 1 material. And that's always the basic field you want to play. Yeah, you want to play or you want to get at the end of one of your loops. And now it's just hint and repeat with the combination of Diamond Direwolf, 2 F-Zeros, also Daigusto Emerald, also thanks to La Valval Chain, you can set up your entire grave, and thanks to Daigusto Emerald you'll always draw into an extra card. So again, filling your hand, working to that Tempest Magician in the end. But yeah, something very important is that, yeah, because this is such a time-consuming loop, and I'm using the loop on Ygopro, it's so easy to make a misplay, a mistake, a misclick, and that's something that's going to happen later in the video. It's not going to matter that much, since I already was planning to cut the video, because it's so long. It's unbelievable how long the turns take, or at least, yeah, your plays take. So it's not really going to matter. I'll explain everything. So eventually, yeah, again, you're working to again always the same field of 2 Onis and 1 F0. Now, if everything is set up, you eventually work to Ouroboros. So special summon Ouroboros thanks to your Mizuki. Oh yeah, I have to say thanks to Zombie Master, and thanks to Ouroboros, of course, you can discard 1 card from your opponent's hand, and you do that 5 times in total, so your opponent does not have a hand at the end of the loop. Eventually, after this, by getting Mizuki to the grave, I think it was thanks to Lavalval Chain, you can again go for Bujin Amaterasu, and we know what Bujin Amaterasu does. You can again reborn your banished Mizuki. This way you can again exceed summon 4 Dagusto Emerald, get the Mizuki back in your grave, and you can restart the loop. Thanks to F0, thanks to Lavalval, thanks to yeah, Dagusto Emerald, thanks to Diamond Direwolf, and so on. So it's always the same loop. So we are going into the basic field again of 2 Onis and 1 F0, and it's always the same. I mean, it's always looping, drawing more cards. And eventually your opponent will end up with 0 cards in hand, but again, it's super time consuming every time. Make the same loops, loop your Ouroboros, loop your Amaterasu, and this will eventually end up into the same field. So again, yeah, revive or get back my Direwolf, my F0, my Emerald from the grave. And here we already again have the field with 2 Onis, Direwolf popping the F0 without any materials, and again it's hints and repeat. Again, go for Ouroboros, pretty much the same. It's always the same loop you are going to do. So Ouroboros again discards one of my opponent's cards, and eventually again you are going to exceed. For your Amaterasu, first go for Emerald to, yeah, again, put your Amaterasu from your grave back into your extra deck. Getting the free space needed, again, make the basic field of 2 Onis and 1 F0, and then, yeah, eventually go for Amaterasu again, reborn Mizuki. It's always the same. But I think around this time of period, I make the misclick. I detached the wrong, I detached the wrong Oni. I think I detached the one from the Amaterasu, and I should have detached 1 Oni from the Direwolf in a few moments, as you will see. So I'm forced to already use my banished Mizuki. So again, it's always the same. So you reuse your Ouroboros again 3 more times, so your opponent does not have any hands, and eventually you will be drawing into your deck until you have like 20 cards in your hand. So I think it should be around this time I made a misclick. I think so. So yeah, here, this is the last part of the loop. Again, just to showcase how it works, you go for Instant Fusion to go for the fusion, your level 4 fusion, and then eventually you can reborn your Plague Spreader, which eventually will end up in the grave, either thanks to Zombie Master or thanks to your Foolish Burial, because you'll either, yeah, send it to the grave with Foolish Burial or draw into it, and so you can discard it for Zombie Master, again, reborn. And yeah, of course, Synchro Summon for Tempest Magician, and discard your whole hand, discard up to 20 cards or more, and eventually deal the burn damage to your opponent. So again, my apologies for the misclick, but I already was planning to like cut the video. It's unbelievable how long this loop takes to set up, and yeah, again, because this is on Ygopro, I can't afford making any misclick. The slightest loss in concentration, yeah, you have to start over. But again, in this case, it wasn't that big of a deal. It's again for me, it's much more important to showcase how, yeah, how the loop works, how it has worked, or yeah, how it is turning out to be, and how. Yeah, pretty much how you can beat your opponent on your first turn. So again, guys, I do not support these kind of decks, the FTKs based decks. And we are, of course, have a lot of outs to it. Effect failure, for example, breakthrough skill, if you already have it set up on your side of the field. I mean, it's of course not one of the most consistent FTKs we ever had in this game's history. So again, if you want to see the full loop written out, feel free to check out the link in the video description. So guys, that's it. Thanks for watching, and feel free to leave a comment or a like if you enjoyed the video. Lithium signing out. Peace.